Hello! In this talk I'd like to consider the reasons why the British people voted to leave the EU in 2016. 52% voted to leave and 48% to remain. 72% of those eligible to vote did vote, which is more than in other elections in recent times. So the EU referendum was clearly seen as an important decision by nearly 3/4 of the population. In the lead up to the referendum, there were obviously two sides of the debate, the leavers and the remainers. The leave side had three main arguments. Number one, take back control of our money. Number two, take back control of our laws. And three, take back control of our borders. The Remain campaign tended to focus mainly on the benefits of free trade as a result of remaining in the EU. Free trade allows businesses to prosper and therefore people can have jobs. It's good for the economy. But to focus on this one aspect was a mistake. The three Leave campaign messages were easy to sell to the public, although mostly untrue. Let's quickly look at the three arguments and the rebuttals to each. The first one, money. Well, the infamous bus stated that £350 million is sent to the EU every week and that money could be better spent on the National Health Service. £350 million is a lot of money, but unfortunately that was not true. The actual figure is just £161 million per week, and this money is taken from taxation and works out at just 0.6% of each person's income tax, which I'm sure you'll agree is very little. The second argument, laws, was a pushback against the European Court of Justice and some of the laws that are imposed upon all EU countries. Unfortunately, many of these are just lies told by the newspapers, mostly the Daily Mail. Some examples of these laws, in inverted commas: bananas must not be excessively curved, children must not inflate balloons, 2-for-1 bargains in shops are to be banned, and EU rules slow down broadband speeds. They're all untrue, and there are hundreds of such lies on a website. If you search for European Commission Euro myths, you'll find this huge list of them. The third argument, control of our borders. One prominent Leave campaigner, that's one Nigel Farage, commissioned a poster with a huge queue of migrants and refugees on it who were nowhere near the UK, with the words, "Breaking point, the EU has failed us, we must break free of the EU and take back control of our borders." People quickly pointed out the comparisons to the Nazi Party propaganda. But it was this third argument that won the referendum for Leave, not necessarily that poster. But in general, the idea that migration from the EU is the main cause of the country's problems. So let's look at why. In order to do that, we need to understand who voted to leave, what type of person voted leave. Broadly speaking, I think there are two categories of Leave voter. Firstly, those who are afraid of immigration and afraid of change within their society. These people listened to the argument about taking back control of our borders. The second category is those people who have not seen any benefit from a globalised world with free trade. A globalised world has in fact led to the decline or even the death of their traditional industries, which has in turn led to lower standards of living and a feeling that politicians just do not care about them. For these people, it was a vote that said, we dislike and we distrust the political establishment. So let's look at that category first. There are statistics from the organisation called YouGov, the market research and data analytics firm, to support these two categories. Those people with lower levels of education were more likely to vote Leave. 70% of voters with GCSE qualifications only, so GCSEs are exams taken at the age of 16 in the UK, 70% of those voted to leave. In contrast, 68% of voters with a degree voted to remain. The YouGov research shows that as family income increases, so does the percentage of Remain votes. At the lowest level of family income, 62% voted Leave. At higher levels of income, 65% voted Remain. These figures suggest that people who left education as early as they could, which used to be 16, but I think now it's 18, they have fewer life chances and less earning potential than those who stayed in education to degree level. We know that university educated people earn more than those without a degree, which of course relates to standards of living and life chances. Those without a degree voted to leave, and their choice was, it seems, a message to the politicians saying, you've forgotten us, we have nothing, so we have nothing to lose, we may as well leave because it can't get any worse. The other category, those who are afraid of immigration and change within their society, seem mostly, although not only, to apply to older people. Older people tend to resist change, they get worried by change. YouGov says that 64% of people aged 65 or over voted to leave. On the other hand, 71% of under 25s voted Remain. An author and professor of politics called Matthew Goodwin had the following to say on a BBC TV programme. He noted a number of different studies which showed that many people want less immigration and a slower pace of demographic change and cultural change in their neighbourhoods. They are worried by changes to their community and their identity. However, he also pointed out some contradictions in these opinions. The same people are happy with international students and international doctors in hospitals and the health service. They are concerned, however, with the low-skill, low-pay workers. We're thinking here of car washers, service sector staff like hotels and restaurants. But what these people forget is that many jobs in hospitals are unskilled. The cooks, the cleaners, the porters. Without migration of EU nationals, who would work on the farms collecting the food? Who would clean your hotel room? Who would prepare the food in the hospitals? Make the sandwiches that you buy in the supermarkets? The very reason why EU nationals do these jobs in the UK is because UK nationals will not do those jobs. They're not well paid enough and they are hard work. So I think older people misunderstood immigration. While they're happy to be seen by a doctor from a different country, they don't like the idea of different types of shops opening in their high street, perhaps selling Polish food. And they don't like the idea of so many different languages being spoken on the streets. What they forget is that without a ready supply of migrant workers, many of the things we take for granted, like food on the shelves of shops and hospitals working reasonably well, is because of the number of migrant workers. So to conclude, the Leave campaign was mostly based on lies which the Remain campaign did nothing to counter. The majority of Leave voters either thought they had nothing to lose by leaving the EU, or didn't understand the reason why migrants are so important. Thank you.